Okay, let's unpack a fascinating paradox today. You might assume, that being a strong, resilient person would lead to perfectly smooth sailing in your relationships, right? But our deep dive suggests something quite different. What if your very strength, your capacity to handle challenges, actually attracts more complex, even difficult connections?
That's the core question, yeah. We've gone deep into an audio excerpt titled Why Strong People Attract Difficult Relationships, and what's truly insightful is how it sort of reframes our understanding of strength itself. It suggests these challenging dynamics aren't just random misfortunes, but often serve as powerful catalysts for personal growth. It blends psychological insights with more, let's say, spiritual concepts around connection.
Exactly. So today, we're not just going to explore the surprising why behind this phenomenon. We'll also unpack the specific types of challenging relationships the source identifies. And most importantly, equip you with some concrete strategies to navigate these waters, especially if you're, well, a strong soul on a path of transformation. Our mission here is really to help you reframe these experiences, not as burdens, but as integral, maybe even essential parts of your unique journey. So it's a common misconception, isn't it, that being strong makes you immune to difficult relationships or even potentially abusive ones. Our source suggests a really powerful reason for this paradox. Strong individuals almost instinctively often seek out or attract relationships that push them beyond their established comfort zones.
hmm The core insight there is that when you find yourself struggling in a relationship, and importantly, we're talking about non abusive challenges here, it can be a profound sign, a sign that your strong soul is actually ripe for deeper transformation, a kind of growth that's maybe only catalyzed through interaction with others. The message is pretty clear. Authentic, profound growth often requires a challenge, doesn't it? It pushes us to focus on the bigger picture of our own evolution.
Right. So given this core paradox, the source then maps out the kinds of challenging relationships strong people often encounter. And the first one is particularly interesting because it talks about soulmate relationships, a term, many of us associate with perfect harmony. But the source seems to redefine that entirely.
Absolutely. Yeah, what's truly insightful here is that reframing of soulmate. It's not about finding your missing piece for comfort. It's more like finding someone who's almost, well, designed to push your buttons, not to break you, but to force a deeper, more profound self-discovery. The source defines these soulmates as people who come into our lives specifically to help challenge our souls and facilitate growth, and it acknowledges this can come with heavy and sometimes painful baggage, definitely, but it emphasizes the ultimate outcome is tremendous growth.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting for me. The source highlights how strong people often find themselves in dynamics where their partners seem to need some sort of healing or emotional support. What's the deeper meaning behind this healer dynamic?
Well, the audio excerpt explains that strong individuals are generally able to handle the pain of those needing healing. They can provide significant emotional support. The source frames this almost like a cosmic orchestration, suggesting it's the universe bringing two people together, one needing healing, the other capable of providing it. However, and this is crucial, it gives a warning, you should do your best to not get caught up in anything one-sided. That's key. If you're feeling drained at the end of every day, the source basically says that's a clear signal, a signal you might need to make a change in that dynamic.
Right, that feeling drained part is a big red flag then. So, beyond those healing dynamics, the source introduces an even more intense category. It draws on spiritual concepts, what it calls karmic relationships, described as connections overflowing with karma from past lives. How does the source suggest we identify these, and what's their purpose supposed to be?
Yeah, these sound heavy, don't they? The audio excerpt helps us identify them. They will trigger things within you that cause you to feel heavy and confused and are often far too intense for their own good. And so the source emphasizes that healing any sort of old karmic wounds in a relationship will be very difficult, but is well worth overcoming. That's where the profound growth supposedly lies. But again, the critical caveat is reiterated. If you stick with the lesson as long as the person is not abusive, can be quite a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
It's a powerful idea, that these deeply challenging non-abusive connections can be the very crucible for profound personal evolution.
Okay, so after laying out all these challenging dynamics, the big question for you listening, if you're resonating with this, is what do you actually do? Especially if you're in one of these difficult but crucially non-abusive relationships, where does the source suggest you even begin?
Well, the first piece of advice, which might surprise some strong individuals, is to sometimes allow yourself to be soft, to let down any walls you've built up. The source suggests embracing challenges with open arms, kind of understanding that this is all part of your journey.
That idea of allowing yourself to be held and supported, that's really powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for someone who identifies as strong, it almost feels counterintuitive, like be weak sometimes. How does the source suggest a strong individual actually begins to shed that ingrained identity, that need to always be the pillar? How do you allow that vulnerability?
It speaks to recognizing that strength doesn't mean perpetual self-sufficiency, you see. It's about consciously choosing to loosen your grip sometimes. Trusting that true strength also lies in your capacity to receive, not just constantly give. The source implies that this act of surrendering control, even just occasionally, is actually a vital step. It allows new pathways for growth.
Okay. Another crucial point, which the source calls probably the most important piece of advice, is to love yourself. No matter what happens. That sounds almost deceptively simple, doesn't it? For someone navigating these intense dynamics, loving yourself can feel like a huge, maybe insurmountable task. Does the source offer any insight into how to cultivate that self-love when you're feeling drained or challenged?
It really drives home the why behind it, more than the how, perhaps. The source suggests that when you truly love yourself, you will be able to move forward in a relationship, and that not loving yourself will hold you back in more ways than you would think. So while it doesn't give like a 5-step plan, the implication is clear. This self-love acts as your internal compass. It helps you discern what truly serves your growth versus what just drains you. It's the foundation, really, that makes all the other advice actionable.
Got it. The foundation. Okay. The source also urges a certain resilience, advising not to give up too easily on relationships. It suggests that these challenging relationships can often be the most worthwhile, even emphasizing that conflict, when it's productive and not abusive, can be a catalyst. So it's not about seeking out arguments, but understanding that moments of friction can actually forge deeper understanding and personal growth, not just immediate red flags.
Exactly. It's about seeing the potential within the challenge. And alongside that, the source stresses the importance of being yourself, authenticity. It warns that if you aren't genuine from the beginning, the relationship can be ruined. The deeper insight here is that authenticity is the bedrock of any truly transformative connection. The right person will love you for who you are, and if they don't, then the source's message is pretty blunt. They don't deserve you. And it adds, you are amazing and worth more than you think you deserve, which ties back powerfully to that self-love point, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, finally, for those navigating difficult but non-abusive relationships, the advice is practical. Take time to think things over and talk to your significant other about your problems. It seems like such a fundamental step, communication, yet often the hardest one to take, right?
Absolutely. It takes courage. But sometimes all it takes is that courageous, good talk to resolve deep issues. The source offers reassurance, too, saying that once you take that first step, things will begin moving forward full force. It paints a picture of immense potential, really. If the relationship means something, it can become amazing once both individuals are healed and ready to love one another on a much deeper level. It's about commitment to that growth process, for both partners involved.
So what we've truly uncovered today, it seems, is a profound redefinition of strength itself. It's not about being impervious to life's challenges or relationships, but maybe it's more about an innate capacity for deep transformation, often unlocked through the very connections that push our boundaries, whether they're framed as soulmate, healer, or these karmic relationships.
Yeah, this deep dive truly highlights how these challenging relationships, again, when not abusive, aren't just obstacles. They're often pivotal experiences, designed perhaps to push us towards deeper transformation and self-understanding. They are opportunities, really, opportunities to cultivate vulnerability, self-love, resilience, and authentic communication.
So here's something to think about. If growth often comes from being pushed out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
what aspect of your own strength might be attracting a particular challenge in your relationships right now? And what might happen if you leaned into that challenge, not as a burden, but maybe as an invitation to truly grow?